Where did you see him?
Golf tournament in Coventry.
Is he back completely?
No, he said he was flying back to South Derby. He was like a little golf tournament in Coventry.
He loves his golf, I know that.
Yeah.
Not that par 3 stuff.
Yeah.
I won that one year.
Did you really? See, for me, that looked really easy. Right? Yeah.
Here we go.
Really, sorry.
Chance to give him some credit there, and he said it was easy.
No, everyone tells me that it's the most difficult part.
It's ridiculously hard. Yeah.
There's so much water and everything.
And it's the greens are about that size.
Yeah.
Finish talking golf? Or move?
Actually, golf. Do you fancy talking golf today? That might be interesting. What's the Sky boy who does the golf? What's his name?
Oh, Jamie Weir.
Yeah, if Jamie was, I'd like Jamie to be here. But I could talk golf with Jamie. That would suit me better, I think.
He'd ask you if you were signing Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, well, if he wanted me to have a game with Rory, I might say yes, okay. But pass it on. I actually like his programmes. I've told him that. I do like his programmes.
Don't let his ego get a bit.
Yeah.
Right, we'll kick off. As usual, we'll start with broadcast, go on to radio, then we'll turn the cameras off and we'll do some stuff with the written guys. 3 to 4 questions each for the broadcasters, please, and away we go.
Afternoon, David. Edson Alvarez, you must be pleased to get that first one through the door. And maybe is he going to be involved this weekend?
First of all, we're really pleased to get him through. We've been working really hard on many players this summer, but it's always good when you get one in, and hopefully it'll be like buses now, and we might get a few more coming as well. But no, he's not available. He's not trained at all since the CONCACAF Cup, so no, he's not available for this week.
And in terms of those buses you're talking about, could that next bus be James Ward Prowse maybe? I know you want maybe a couple of midfielders to bring into like Declan and a few players that have moved down.
Well, we're not denying that. No, James Ward Prowse is having a medical with us just now. I don't think it's right that we talk about players well. We've not actually signed them yet, but the fact of the matter is, yes, we've agreed a fee and he's having a medical just now.
Great stuff. One player that has been linked away is Lucas Paqueta. I know the club stance is that you don't want to sell him, but if a significant offer did come in for him, is there a chance that he moves on?
Well, all I can say is that you're right in what you said. We've had an offer from Manchester City. It's not close enough to our valuation to even make us think that way. So at the moment we have no decision.
Okay. And Harry Maguire, did agree with him as well. Lots of leadership qualities he's got. And Declan's got someone that's had lots of leadership qualities. Your captain, of course, would a former Manchester United be helpful? Captain be helpful in that regard in terms of filling a leadership void? Well,
I don't know if you're expecting this answer, but I wouldn't talk about players at other clubs. But what I can say also is that yes, we've had a bid accepted from Manchester United. But while he's not my player, I don't think I'm in any place to discuss him really.
Gianluca Scamacca has gone back to Italy. Were you disappointed that one didn't work out?
Yeah, I was extremely disappointed because I like Gianluca a lot. But Gianluca didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be in England. He didn't want to be here at all. We found it very difficult. He had his rehab, all his rehab from his injury back in Italy. Wouldn't participate with us here. So we found it very hard. But we like him a lot. He's a really good boy. Just pity that it didn't quite work out for us.
And is a forward area somewhere that you might be looking to strengthen before the window shuts?
Maybe, but we've got some other areas we might want to strengthen as well. So not just that one. Yeah.
Okay. And
last one then, please.
Thoughts on your opponent this weekend, David? FC Bournemouth, and new manager there as well. What sort of test do you expect?
Well, I've always thought Bournemouth are a big test. They have been for many years. They've done a brilliant as a football club in their model, what they try to do, and obviously probably not as big a budget as many other clubs, but they always seem to do a very good job, Bournemouth. Andoni's now in charge, different manager. We have lots and lots of good managers come into the Premier League from all over the world now, and it's great to see them, great to work against them, compete against them. So I think it's always a hard game at Bournemouth. We had a really good result there last year. I hope we can do the same again.
Thanks, Dave.
Roger.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
Just in terms of the buses you were talking about, hoping they arrived, would you have preferred they arrived a little sooner, earlier in the summer?
Well, I've got to say we've worked incredibly hard to do so. We've made offers for several players, more than several. So you can only make the offers and hope that they get accepted. If they don't get accepted, you can't do much more than that.
So, at the state of play now, assuming you do get a couple more in, you look at your squad now going into the new season, and feel confident going into the new season?
Well, our squad's quite full actually. It's not that we're desperately in need of big numbers. Our squad we lost Lanzini, was the only player we had lost, if you want to call it, at the end of the season, really, from our numbers. We then sold Declan, so it freed up. But apart from that, our squad was pretty full. So for us to bring more players in, we have to find openings to put them in those places as well.
For you personally, David, you've been through many seasons as a manager now. Is the enthusiasm as we're on the eve of the new season now, is it the same as ever for you, starting afresh?
Yeah, I just walked through the corridor there and I looked at all the pictures of us winning the European trophy, and it's incredible what we've done with the people, everybody around the place. When you see it now in the changing rooms, and I said it before, when you come to the London Stadium, you see some of the greats, Bobby Moore, all the greats of West Ham. I'm sure when we come back this year it'll be different. So we're going into this season with a great deal of positivity. We've had a brilliant feeling from last year and we want to try and keep it.
You get the great feeling from the win in the Europa Conference as well, but the league season didn't necessarily go to plan. It was a bit hairy towards the end. How much are you focused and drumming into your players the importance of a good start? Because I remember speaking to a couple of players towards the end of the last season, and they were suggesting that it didn't quite kick into them how precarious the situation was until maybe after the World Cup, after getting onto a slow start. So how important is that strong start this time?
Well, I think that last year we played 65 games last season, or the year before we ended up with last season. I think last year we had 60 or 61. So if you think about the amount of games we've had over the last 2 years, it's incredible, and it's mainly because of our success in the league and obviously in Europe. So we want to build on that. Yes, we want to go off to a good start like every team does, but it's where you finish what matters in the end. We didn't finish in a position we wanted to be, but we made sure we weren't in the position that we didn't want to be.
In terms of your opponents, Bournemouth, they stayed up last season. A lot of praise for Gary O'Neill, and then they decided to replace him, to bring someone else in. Sort of similar situation here with yourself a few years ago. It's a bit of a gamble from clubs who think they can kick on from a manager who's done them a very, very good job, and they think, well, we can go and get someone else now and push on. Have they taken a bit of a gamble bringing a new manager? Well,
I don't know much about Bournemouth, but I quite liked Gary's work he done at Bournemouth. I thought he'd done a really good job in the time he was there. Young British manager, getting an opportunity to manage a Premier League club's really, really good for him. I can only say what I thought. I thought he'd done a good job. I don't know, Bournemouth may think different about that.
In terms of Areola coming over from Spain and to work in the Premier League, what would you say will be the most surprising thing or the most difficult for him in terms of making that transition, knowing the two leagues?
Well, I made the transition from a British manager to being a Spanish manager, and it's not easy going to manage in La Liga. Just like I probably wouldn't expect him to come to the Premier League and find it necessarily easy. But you have to have done something well to get a job in the Premier League nowadays, and your past will probably have to stand up. So Bournemouth, must trust them a lot, and it suits their model. So, I mean, it's the sort of questions we'd be better asking the Bournemouth people rather than me. I'm not an expert on that, but he comes from a part of the world which I know, the Basque Country, Andoni, and they're really good people, and it'll be interesting to see how he does this season at Bournemouth.
Thanks, David.
Ian?
Hi David, had a good summer?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's good. Short, very short. Everything's been squashed in because we had to take a trip to Australia and where we finished, so it's meant that we've had a really, really, really tight turnaround, really.
You've spoken about players coming in, James Ward Prowse, Alvarez, possibly other players too. What about players leaving who haven't left yet? There's been a lot of talk about maybe Aaron Cresswell leaving, maybe about Mikel Antonio leaving.
Well, just like I wouldn't talk about players signing up from other clubs, I wouldn't talk about our own players unless I had sort of offers or things we're actually in. Now, well, we don't have the offers for them, or we don't have anything which we find acceptable, then I wouldn't really discuss players who are going to leave. Far from it. The players you're talking about have been so valuable to me over the last 2 or 3 years. It's been incredible, the jobs they do for the team, for myself. They've done great jobs.
Are you looking though for players to leave the squad, or you said that you're pretty well stocked?
Yeah, we are. So we probably, as you see, we've moved 1 or 2 players on already. Gianluca didn't want to be here, and we found it very difficult to try and convince him to play. Vlasic has been out on loan, so those two have sort of left the squad. So we've got a little bit of room, but generally we've not got room just to go and buy more players. You have to have a plan to where you put it. And I think if anything would be anything to sort of gauge yourself on, you need to just look at the amount of players Chelsea bought, and it doesn't work. You have to get a squad where you can work with a number, you can work with players in the right positions. You don't need 4 left wingers and 1 midfield player, for example. You try to get a balance of a couple in each position if you can. So all those things come into your decisions, how you sign, when you sign, and if you can sign.
Can you just outline for us how difficult it's been to spend £100 million? Because if you say to a football manager or a football club, we're going to sell X for £100 million, and all the money goes to the manager. It seemed this summer it was proving quite hard for you to spend something like everyone knows you've got it.
I don't think it was because everybody knew we've got it. I think if you look at the prices, I think the prices for the players this summer have been really, really high. And maybe you say, well, maybe Declan's was high. I actually think Declan was quite cheap, to be honest. That's my own personal view. But there's nearly not been a player we've gone for which has been around 40 million. So, and I have to say the club have been very active, incredibly active in the market, as you well know, because you're all writing about it before I know about it as well. So ultimately, we've been really active trying to get players in.
Can I ask you a personal question? You've only got 1 more year left in your contract.
Yeah.
Having won a European trophy, first time in 43 years, why haven't you got a longer contract?
That's a good question. I've got to say, I've got to an age now where it doesn't really bother me. I'm quite happy to work, and I think when I came here before, I had to avoid West Ham getting relegated, so I had to do that and prove myself to earn a contract. I think then the next bit, you had to show that you can improve the club and grow the club, which I talked about, which I think we've done. We ended up 6th, then we've ended up 7th, and then there was a lot of talk, you included, you heard enough, so many West Ham supporters saying that we've never won a trophy, we've never been in finals, and we've gone and done that as well. So I'm actually quite pleased with what we've done in the last 3 years, to be fair, and I'm quite content to keep working away. I enjoy working here. I've got great staff, I've got good people around me. I'm hoping that we can try and build on it and take the positivities we've had from the end of last season.
So you might have discussions going forward about staying beyond the year?
Well, I think that there could be discussions, but at the moment I think our focus is so much on trying to make sure we get as strong a team as we possibly can. Last
one, I know you don't like talking about players that aren't yours, but I'm going to ask you about a player who isn't yours. Can I get your thoughts on Harry Kane leaving the Premier League and going to Bayern Munich?
He's a great player, and he's an example to so many young players. Had to start his career and went out on loan to Orient and Norwich, and had to find a way, and it's not an easy. So if you want to be a great professional and a great player, you have to work hard to get it. And I think Harry Kane's worked, and whatever he's done, he's deserved it. He's captain of England, rightly so, because of his goals. I'm a big admirer because of his goals, but in some ways I'm quite glad he's gone.
Laura from BBC London.
Hi David. Do you think this summer's transfer window has been made a lot more difficult with the Saudi league involvement?
Yeah, I do think that it's just changed it a little bit. I think a lot of players have suddenly got their eye on maybe a chance to to go to Saudi, and strange enough, I don't think there's been too many people. I think there was a little bit of criticism from different groups, which rightly so. But I think in the most people have accepted that the financials for MD. Nobody. If they offered one of you journalists a similar package to work out there, I think you would all be on the first plane out, if you know what I mean. So there is part of it where I think most people who are seeing players going are probably realising we're not sure it's right, but we think that we know why, and if you were given that same choice, you would probably make the same decision yourself.
And have any of the Saudi purchases involved any of the West Ham targets?
Yeah, we have. We've got people who are sniffing around there from Saudi, but at the moment, nothing yet.
A little bit away from West Ham this weekend. I just wanted to mention the Lionesses. They're playing the quarter-final tomorrow against Colombia. How important has their success been for English football?
Did you say English football? The Scottish women will batter me if I get talking about the Scottish women. I'll not be able to cross the border again. But no, the biggest thing is for me is women's football is doing so well, and it's only right that it gets a chance to be on the stages and play. So it's great. My daughter was a young footballer, so I'm thrilled that there's a lot of good women's football. But England, I don't know if I can quite say that.
All right, okay, if we could turn the cameras off then, please.